Hello, hello. Happy Friday. Or Friday, Wednesday. Getting ahead of myself. Hey, Narwhallers. Alright, so Wednesday, Adam is going to try simplifying the block we experience in the game by combining conditional blocks with terminators. So instead of having something like, I can't use actual quotation marks here, but I can use smart quotation marks. Smart quotation. Yeah, it strips out the normal quotation marks. Got it. And then I actually get the correct closing one, I guess. So instead of having something like if can move right, then move right, it would just be try and move right. This may or may not be a good idea for a bot land. So we'll find out today. Hey there. Okay, today's been edited. Good. There we have it. So that's the majority of the work for today. Right now it's 8:43. I have an appointment at 1 p.m. So there's some amount of travel time, and also my car is dead. So I probably need to leave at like 12:30. Anyway, that'll give us close to 4 hours. And why not try to? Oh, I think for the sake of the today command, it's going to be clear what I mean. But that's just an English thing. Try and move right. Try to move right. Both kind of correct. Hey Jack. Hey Hackjack. Can it be 12:31 when I leave? I don't want to cut it close at all, so I will just leave whenever a task kind of ends around then. So where did I write this down? User define code here. I will just change it to do, but I don't think it's that strange. But that way no one else gets confused either. So consider having a completely different set of snippets. It would be something like try and blank, where blank is an action. So for example, if can move left would be services try to move left. It would expand to the if statement from before, but it'd be easier for new players to use. We could surface that as beginner snippets and then change all the resources around scripting. So making the feature, I think, is incredibly straightforward. I don't think there's anything that's tough about making this. So let's do a part of making this, because I think this is how we're going to approach it. Do this with a few blocks from each category. So some movement, some weapons, some support. Hey Karsten. And hey Goose. And then after that, see if this feels right. Maybe try to modify a mission or two, etc. And I'll say throw these into the easy snippets category. Or maybe like simple snippets. Beginner snippets. Updating every resource, I think, could be done sort of piece by piece, because these new blocks... Okay, there's something else I need to say, which is that... Oh, darn it. Hang on. There's a lot of stuff I gotta write down. So first of all, I set up some time. I think it's January 29th, where I'm going to like remotely teach a class of students using Botland. So I set up that time, and one of the things that I asked is, hey, can their computers even run Botland? Because we have a lot of issues, and I think they use Chromebooks, and Chromebooks sometimes can't run it. So the teacher said, we can try this Friday. And I don't exactly know what trying means. I think they might mean that they're going to just show it to students as though it's January 29th, but I just won't be there, which I'm fine with. But what that means is that I can't make any changes to the game unless it's to fix a breaking bug between now and the end of Friday. So I got to remember that. Well, let me say this. I can't make any big changes or something that could introduce a bug that might stop them from playing. So these blocks are probably a bad idea to deploy. But something like, I don't know, if we'd fixed that stream feature today instead of 2 days ago, then I could have probably deployed that. Well, it means they'll test it for me. I guess what all I was looking for is, like, if you load up Botland and then you start the first battle, is it super laggy or no? And I'll try to make that clear today. So it'd be impossible to ship this before Friday, even if you wanted. I don't think so, but I'm not actually positive. And either way, I don't think it matters because we don't even know if we want to do it. And even if I do, I don't think I'd want to deploy it before Friday if I got it done. So let's start with this. It's not called Blockly.xml anymore. It's like snippets.xml. I need to figure out like block shape and stuff. Let's go take a look at that. So these are going to be terminators. They're going to be conditional terminators. So we'll need a color that's something like this red. I don't know, we'll have to look at that. There's a Blockly block factory. And this can help us make the blocks. And one of the things you can do is pick a hue. And so we can find that same red color. I think it's just 0. And then pick something that's like kind of close, maybe that. Well, knowing that, could we need to work on fixes and you ship for this date and postpone this to Monday? That's where I really should have responded to this email this morning. Although I guess even if I'd done that, I wouldn't have gotten a response back from that email. But like I said, all I want them to do on Friday is like boot up Botland, click 3 times, see if it lags. That's it. So if that's all that they were planning on doing anyway, then there's nothing I even need to, any deploy I do won't make any difference. But if they were planning on like, hey students, here's a game, do you like this game? Then yeah, fixes would make more sense. Hey, foul moves. Yeah, the code reminds you of Scratch because it was heavily inspired by Scratch. I'm not the one who made that language, but yeah. Okay, so we need a block that's got an input on the top and on the bottom. Did I ever make a block like this? I must have. The helper functions, I guess, right? Yeah, like this. This is pretty much exactly what I want, except for a different color. And that color needs to be decided. And I'm guessing hue 0 is what's used for any other terminator. So let's search for just 0 in parentheses like this. Yeah. Yep. So the only choices we really have, unless we pick something that's not a 15-degree difference in this thing, maybe we can do that. Let's try this. Can we change it here and it'll change it? Whoa! No, you can't. No, you can't. Well, that was worth a shot. Yeah, it's Google's tool. Yep. Yep. Oh wait, what? They have a 20 in here. How'd they get that? Oh, you could just type it in. Oh. Okay. Well, I want to get something that's kind of similar. 355. Yeah, we'll have to pick a color for that. Pick a color for these blocks. Okay, let's go make one. So we have Terminator move. I'm not too concerned about terms and everything just yet. I was thinking we should probably come up with something that's not like conditional Terminator. Get checkout master, get pull, get checkout dash B, AD simplify, Blockly. None of that should have made a difference anyway, but. So we'll call this conditional Terminator move. So we need all the same directions that we had before. We're gonna need a different color. We're gonna need a different name here, try to move. And then we need different code. Okay, so this is gonna look like this. Hey, Spurman. if can move direction, move direction. Now, do I put curly braces around stuff when I do this? Where else would we have ever made a curly brace? I am not sure. I'll need to look through the blocks to see. Not that I think people are going to care too much, you know, but... Oh, wait, literally any of these. What am I talking about? No, but that's because that's because Blockly is doing the if. Yeah, that doesn't count. Although I guess we want that to be the same way. So fine, we'll keep it the same way. So maybe we even want the same spacing. Not sure if that's gonna matter. So conditional terminator move. Yeah, that should pretty much just be it. Now let's try putting this in. We'll make like a new category here. Like 2.5 dash beginner snippet.xml. I actually don't need a number to match at all. Although I think that the way this is going to build this up is based on alphabetical order originally. Let me look at how that import all macro works. Import all, Blockly toolbox XML, and then just concat them all. Yeah. So it's going to be based on the order of them in the file. What we could do is either, because I don't want to have like 2.5, 2.3, I could just multiply all these by like 100. And that way there's plenty of spaces to add in between. Or just rename them all. Every time there'll always be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's not such a bad idea. Let's just do that. Yeah, let's do that. So we'll close out of this. We'll make this one be 4. This one will be 5. And this one will be 6. Alright, now when you go back to snippets, I make an offline version because the kids are not allowed internet. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it'll be easy to do like an offline version of Botnet at this point. Hey, Ramy. Interesting fact about this day is that if you write the date with the inferior format, it refers to a month that doesn't exist. And new, welcome back. 37 months. So I'm a little bit tired. Alright, so we were gonna call this 3-beginner snippets.xml. How's it going, noob? Do you have work today? And we're gonna call this one beginner snippets. And then delete basically everything else. Right? Now, why do we have category there twice, but the last one's not tabbed in? I always found that weird. And I'm not sure which one that correlates to. Category, find entity, and then category for that. Okay, so let's delete this one. That is fine, experiment. Work in 5 minutes. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. He's in. You were annoyed about that, but didn't bother fixing it. Yeah, that's fine. I don't think we're going to be adding so many of these things that this is going to matter too much. Just rename them as we need to. All right, so move has a couple of blocks inside of it. We're just going to change this to 1. So instead of type equals controls if, let's look at get distance. Is it find distance? Man, I don't know what any of these blocks are called. Hey, Amber. And thanks for boosting that Discord server. Yeah, I don't know what any of these are. I guess it's in advance. That's why I can't find it. Find distance. Here it is. Okay, so it's just block type. And that's all we need. Aha. So let's delete all of that and put this here. And the block that we want for this is going to be conditional terminator move. Hey, Resu. Yeah, that's it. Okay, let's go try it. Oh, except for 3-snippets is something that I guess renaming these are going to be actually kind of annoying. Well, you know what I might do then? No, I'll just write something down for now. Now is not the time to do anything. So we'll write down any other tasks that I think might have come up as a result of this. So see if this feels right, it's still correct, and then any sort of like cleanup or polish would be wrap the imports for 1-foo.xml, 2-bar.xml, etc. so that it's all in one place. That way it's more resilient to name changes. We probably don't want name changes anyway, but regardless of that, we still want to wrap these calls. Hey, HX. Alright, so now it says no such file or directory. Where's it trying to load that? I might need to restart this. Oh, Remy. You know what this may be? Is this some like Babel caching? Yeah, I'll write down if this ends up fixing this. Yeah, it is a cache. Okay. Hey, Drake. I'll write it down for right now. If this doesn't fix it, we'll need to do this. Yeah. Well, that's fun. Node modules, cache, it's not in there. Maybe it's inside Babel that the cache is. Okay, let's go exploring. Yeah, it might be in the client specifically. I wasn't sure about that. I was gonna go check that one too. Cache, Babel loader. Probably this one. Oh man, how many things are in here? This isn't just for 1,000 files. Oh man. Alright, yeah, I will write this. Name changes are actually really annoying here because we have to clear the Babel cache. So work around that somehow. In my PR for this, tell Hideo to do the same. Hey, Whiskey. So I should be able to delete this, right? And then rerun this. By the way, I said this wouldn't be hard to do, and I don't think it's going to be hard to do. It will still take a while, I think. It's not like I can just convert all of these instantaneously. So all I've done is convert one of them so far. I want to convert like, I don't know, 6 or 7. And then I want to see if it even kind of makes sense to have this. I should probably come up with a hypothesis first. My hypothesis is that it'll be easier to understand. So there are pros and cons here. The pro, I think, is that you only have to modify one thing and it'll take effect in 2 spots. And the con is that it won't be as obvious that this ends your turn. And part of the reason why is because it'll have a bottom connection. Okay, so it looks like this is back up and running. I'll show you guys exactly what I'm talking about over here. If we go into Blockly, we always had snippets. And so the way that snippets would work is you'd have something like move, and it would say if you can move in a certain direction, then move in a certain direction. And you got to pick what a certain direction was. The problem is you had to customize both of these, or else it wouldn't necessarily do what you wanted it to do. So now we have this beginner snippet, which does this. Just try to move, and you say something like right. Now it does need a bottom connection, like this little prong here. So I haven't done that correctly yet. But this consolidates both of these to the point where if I switch to code right now, we should see the exact same thing twice. Yeah. Hey Jack, and thank you. And do I have translations or am I thinking about it? I am thinking about it, but I need... Will I die again? Hang on a second. Okay, let's try that again. There we go. And here's the today command proofs. The bottom connection may be an issue regarding teaching. Like it may or may not do a thing. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's why maybe we have like a beginner mode and then a regular mode. Maybe in beginner mode, all you have are these things, and maybe that's all you can use. There's no variables, there's no connections, there's no anything else. It might be worth doing that. I'm not sure. I want to make more of these. Maybe we have a beginner mode where these are the only blocks you can use. And another thing I want to write is try converting the expanded figured out to use the new blocks. Maybe that should be our goal today. See what that looks like. Okay, so now I need a prong out of the bottom. How do we do that? Guess we just search for get distance too. Yeah. Set output true number. That's for the left side. What's for the bottom part? I don't actually know. It's got to be one of these things though. Oh, set previous statement true null. We don't even do that. Okay, so what if I just delete that? It's probably that one. Hey noob, it's called to do plus. Yeah. Having the existing blocks if in Terminator has an entity that is not editable. Wait, I might be misunderstanding that. Also, I definitely messed this up. Move to tile. Yeah, all of these say set previous statement true. And then nothing else even has these. Where's get distance to again? Set output. Am I even thinking of the right thing? Get distance to? No, I set attack priority. Oh, that's it. Okay, here we go. Set previous statement and set next statement. There. That's what I want. Got it. Will everyone still compete together? Yeah, everyone would still compete together. I don't see this as like a major change from the point of view of the interface. I see it as like an understandable change. It doesn't really change functionality too much, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And thanks, Whiskey. Yeah, I write down all these offers. Actually, I write down these offers with the language. So I don't know if you want to say it in public chat, but do you mind even just whispering me what language are you willing to help with? That way I can just write it down with that. Okay, so here it is. We have try to move, and you can pick. So you would just be able to snap this onto something. But inside, it still shows an if in Terminator, but you can't. Oh, I think I get what you're saying. So this looks something like this, and when you change this thing, it just changes all of these at the same time. But this is just an internal representation. Part of me wonders if maybe we should just write some custom code for the if blocks so that the first time you modify this, it modifies both of them. And then all subsequent times you're just modifying one at a time. Or maybe in order to split these, you have to drag it out of here and then put it back in. Okay, cool. Thank you, Whiskey. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's better either. That's why I want to just kind of tool around with this for a little bit. So let's keep going. Let's just get everything we can for figure it out. Let's just do that. So we'll delete this and this and this. Okay, so we need melee will hit. Will melee hit. Here it is. Additional Terminator move. There's a lot of refactoring that can be done here. I guess I'll write that down and polish. Lots of refactoring in setup blockly. Oh, it's a JS file, not an XML file. Can be done to cut down on menu duplication, e.g. directions, colors, etc. Hey, Rama. Is it too complicated to have optional Terminator blocks, like move left if you can? That is exactly what we're doing with this. So it says try to move left. And that way this is both an if and the terminator, and it's all one block. So that's what we're working on today. Is this on my clipboard still? Yeah. So we want to put this right here. So built-in will melee hit direction. Why is this built in? This isn't correct. What am I doing? No, I need to take it from melee. Yeah, terminator melee. Yeah, this. Good. Also, I should write this down as long as I'm doing this. Even if we don't do this feature at all, this refactoring could still be done, although it would be less important then. Conditional terminator move. Yeah, so let's put this here. So we'll call this conditional terminator. Okay, we need to set previous and next statements. Now, field is there. I don't know if that's necessary. I don't know if you can put any other kind of block. And why is this red? Oh, just a prettier problem. That's fine. So now we want to do the same thing. If will melee hit direction. There. All right, so now we should have one more block. We're just going to slowly build up all of these. This is going to take some time. And it would help if I actually added the block. Otherwise, it doesn't do anything. So what's it called? Conditional terminator melee direction. All right, so one more should pop up over here. Ooh, it doesn't like that. Mr. Halsey, thanks for the raid. How's the stream going? In general, I mean, how also did the stream go today? I am a little bit more tired than I normally am. I actually went to sleep at a regular time last night. I don't know. I've been having a hard time sleeping. But yeah, welcome Raiders. If you're new to my stream, check out the new command there. I am working on a game called Botland. And I'm busy breaking everything. Oh, whoops, did I? Out of curiosity, what happens if we refresh this? You have a cold that your kids gave you? Yeah, someone was saying yesterday, I think it was Gooseman maybe, that there's a sickness going around. And I thought, pish posh, I'm immune to sicknesses now. But I wonder if something like that's happening over here. Okay, cool. So now we have this one. Melee in a direction that'll work. Or this should have said try to. Try to melee. So basically the steps to do this. 1, copy paste a terminator. 2, rename it so that conditional is at the beginning. 3, reword the block itself to have try to at the beginning. 4 is change the connection types so that blocks can come before and after. And that's this. And then 5 is modify the outputted code to have a conditional. How do I persist that Blockly stuff? So it all turns into XML, so that's how it gets persisted in the end. And all right, take care, Mr. Halsey. Oh, and then 6 is add to 3-beginner-snippets.xml. Yeah, that's it. All right, so we're gonna keep doing this. Like I said, we're just gonna work our way down this script. So since I keep modifying this, let's just save this one. That way I don't need to keep doing it. And that way when I come back into here, we can see how far we've gotten. So we've gone through melee, so we're just gonna delete it, which means I should probably save it every time. Oh well, I'm not gonna do that. Next up is will lasers hit in any direction? So let's go follow all the steps. In fact, let me just put these on a quick notepad off to the side of the screen. That way you guys don't have to be bothered by me switching back and forth all the time. And that way I don't forget the steps. So I will put this here. Okay, so copy paste a terminator. Terminator lasers, fire lasers. And this has a direction, right? Yep, it does. Copy paste. So now this becomes conditional. that was step number 2. Step number 3 is say try to fire lasers. Step number 4 is add in the connection types. Step number 5 is modify the outputted code to have a conditional. If will lasers hit direction any Notepad applications is always on top? I don't know. I think Notepad++ probably does. The other thing it could have done is just made a new tab here and then to put the instructions in there. That's probably fine too. But I have 2 monitors and this isn't something you guys need to see, so this is probably good for now. So modify the output code to have a conditional. We did that. Add to here. We did that. So that's everything, I think, right? The colors are all getting messed up here. The other thing I need to do is write down to test to make sure all of the outputted code is exactly the same as the originals, and try changing directions and stuff. Oh wait, I thought you were talking about it for my use case, Ember. Yeah, actually, I wonder if even Visual Studio Code has that. Probably not, actually. Okay, so now we should have one more snippet, which we can't do this as we're modifying this. That's okay. But let's just assume that we got that working, and let's move on. Missiles and then artillery. Yeah, this is just what this is going to be for the next probably, I don't know, 20 minutes. They smashed. So copy paste. This was at closest enemy. Yeah. Maybe this should just say try to fire missiles and not even put at closest enemy. Yeah, I think that's fine. And this is no longer gonna be this. Yeah, okay, fine. So if will missiles hit. Keeps tweaking that. I don't like that. All right, I think we're good there. Then we paste this in. And we add it to here. Okay, entirely possible as I go through this that I'm messing something up and won't figure out about it until later, but that's a risk we have to take in order to do this slightly faster. So conditional terminator, reword to try to. Set the outputs and change this. If will artillery hit, fire artillery. There we go, and then add this in over here. All right, so we should be doing that one and that one. Next up would be, I guess, these 3. Zap, cloak, and reflect. Conditional terminator, try to zap. I like it. And then we change this to if can zap. Hey, Kojin. Then zap. Okay. That's done. What were the other ones? Cloak and reflect. Conditional try to use beginner versions, then turn it to code, then turn it back to Blockly. There is no turning it back to Blockly, even with what currently exists. So, and that'll probably never happen. It's not that it's impossible, it's that it's very unlikely a user will ever need to do that. Yeah, probably never will. If it ever did, in order to get that to work, there'd need to be some kind of source maps. And if there were source maps, then it would probably turn it back into whatever you had it as originally, which means that we need to decorate the code somehow with comments or I don't know what. Anyway, there'd need to be something extra. Well, Kojin, this idea is very easy to implement, which is why you see me like copy pasting stuff like crazy here. Problem is, I don't know if it's going to do good things for the game or bad things for the game. I think it's going to be good because I think it's going to make it easier for new users to understand, and it's also going to make all of the code look smaller, which will be less daunting for players. So right now, I've seen players use the pre-made figured out script, and they're like, "Whoa, that just put a lot of stuff in my code." And I've actually deleted things already, so there are another like 10 blocks up at the top. But now imagine if all of these are just one-liners. The simpler it is, the wider reach is going to be. Yeah, plus the other thing is this can live alongside the way we currently have. So what we could do is we could just start users with this beginner section, and if they are like, okay, well, I understand this, I know what I'm doing, then we can move them on to the more advanced section. But I don't think people are ever going to want the advanced section. That's the thing. There are very specific cases where you'd want it. So it's something like if will lasers hit. So pretty much I'm in lasers range, then move left. This is something where you want to combine the if of one terminator with the actual terminator of another thing. And there are times when you want to do this, but they're not common for new players, so why expose that at first? Any specific reason a method like zap doesn't already include can zap? Isn't it always needed? Just a thought. Yeah, that's another thing that could have been done here. And part of the reason why was consistency with how terminators work. So in Blockly, given that they're called terminators, you know that there doesn't need to be a bottom connection off of them. So if zap had a conditional built in, then that means that it would be a terminator block, but that would also have a connection at the bottom. And since none of the other terminators necessarily work like that, it would break that consistency. Can zap actually does a bunch of other things. I think consistency is the top reason, but the can part of can zap is checking, do you have the hardware? Is it off cooldown? And I think that's it actually. Hey Pawn. And hey Kelly. So, oh, and then it doesn't check proximity? No, Zap doesn't. Zap doesn't check to see if there are enemies. It just checks to see if you can activate it, because you might want to do it before you are in range of an enemy. There's something, because Zap is an electrical field around you. It's not actually like a taser kind of weapon or something. There's something else I wanted to say here. Oh yeah, so then there are terminators like fire lasers that you can blind fire, which means you don't need a target. So when you call fire lasers right, there is no way for this to fail. You will, well, unless you don't have lasers. You will fire a laser, and if it doesn't hit anything, then that's fine. And there are reasons why you might want to do that too. Hey, playing with scissors. So yeah, consistency is the main reason, and that's, I think this is going to end up being a good idea. Let me just say that. I don't want to say that it's a good idea and then try to get it to fit later. I just hope it actually is a good idea. So we're going to still try to keep an open mind to this being a bad idea. Yeah, cut down on block size a lot. Actually, that's another thing I didn't think of. People could have slightly longer scripts. Maybe we should, as we're going through this, write down all the pros and cons. So pros and cons. Cuts down on Blockly size, both from an XML perspective and the user perspective. By cutting down on it from the user's perspective, it'll seem less daunting. What else? More straightforward to the user since there's less to edit. I've seen a bunch of people only customize one part of the old style, e.g. they have if can move right, and only change one right. Cons was it may be less clear that something is a terminator. It actually doesn't cut down on botland script size. All of this converts to exactly the same code as the old stuff. But that wasn't ever really a huge problem because generally Blockly is like, I'm just gonna make up a number here, like 50 bytes for every maybe 5 bytes of botland script. because you have a whole bunch of XML to represent something and it turns into a very tiny amount of code. So in general, people would hit the Blockly limit before they hit the Botland script limit. No. So here's the way that this works. I'll show you guys. This doesn't change. It changes literally nothing if you want to keep doing everything the way you were doing it. Absolutely nothing is going to change. This will only add a menu for people who want to use it, which now has the if consolidated into the terminator. So these two things are exactly the same. Try to move and if can move, then move. Except for here, you only have one menu you have to customize, and there's a bottom connector. Whereas here, if you move this outside of here, now you can't connect any blocks beneath it. So if I were to just delete this whole thing, you'll see the exact same code here twice. Well, except for not really, I didn't customize the blocks correctly. Hang on, let me do that. Let me just set this down in random direction. So now you'll see the exact same code twice. So same Botland script. Instead of taking up 3 height, it takes up 1 height. Well, like 2.5 height. I don't know. The if statement isn't really 3 because of this tiny bottom part. So there's not going to be a try to move API for Botland script. No, I wasn't. Excuse me. Hang on a second. I wasn't thinking of doing that because I think in Botland script, it's clear enough kind of what's going on. That is a thought. We could write this here. So future ideas. We could apply the same change to Botland script, e.g. try to move right. Not from you, doctor. Yeah. So I wasn't planning on it, but that's actually not a bad idea. I think this is something to be considered. The way I would have liked to do this is with JavaScript snippets. So that you type something like try to move and then hit tab and it would turn it into if can move, then move. But that still means you need to modify 2 things. So I'm not positive. But yeah, so point for the suggestion. Hey, Toulouse. If we do this, we may want the Blockly to turn into that JavaScript instead of outputting if statements. All right, where did we leave off? We got to cloak, and what do we need next? Reflect. Conditional terminator reflect. This is going to say try to reflect. Here we go. Bunch of if possible, which are pretty much the same thing except for the teleport one. Yeah, and I think that in general having more APIs is not such a bad thing, but this means that there's going to be more to document as well. Yeah, with the completion thing you added, it wouldn't be so difficult. We export the code itself from setup Blockly. Yeah. So for right now, all I'm thinking about is a V1 here. And then if we like it, there's a lot of stuff we can do. So there's this one, conditional terminator reflect. Okay, what's next? So we got done with all of these. There. So we still have some of these left to do. Am I freelancing or an employee? Yeah, I think that job command will answer it. I don't really think of those as the only 2 things, I guess. But I guess it'd be categorized as freelancing. All right, so zap was already done, so we can delete that stuff too. Now there's pursue. This needs a variable. But what we could do is we could lump that variable into here too. So we could say something like try to pursue closest bot. I think that would be good. So what that would do is it would consolidate all of this, this entire block right here into just one. But I think if we're going to do that, we would make it generic. So we would say try to pursue closest, and then it would have drop downs for all of these. Now, that's something that I'm not going to do right now. That would take a little bit more time. So let's just skip that one and see if we generally like the idea. So if it does feel right, then I guess finish laying the groundwork. Make a try to pursue enemy that has I should just say try to pursue entity that has enemy or friendly, bot or chip or CPU, lowest or highest, and distance or life. That consolidates all of the following. Yeah, try to pursue basically. Try to pursue. Yeah. All right, so let's copy this. So we do pretty much everything here. Pretty good. Pretty good. Like I said, I don't want to code that one right now. What we could do is we could just hard code it to be just for a bot. Let's do that for right now. Yeah, I think this is going to be a good change too, but I don't want to be overly hopeful because what if it doesn't work out that way? So we don't have pursue. We have this one. Yeah, let's just copy that for now. So conditional terminator pursue enemy bot. This is going to be very specific, and I'm just going to say to do don't keep this since it's too specific. We want a generic one that users can customize. Like I said, I'm not going to spend the time doing that right now. I'll taunt players until they think it's a good change. The thing is, taunt is the only thing without a corresponding conditional, because you can always do it and it always ends your turn. Yeah, that's what I'm a little worried about, Hideo, is that we're going to conclude from today that, oh man, this is a great idea. I'm going to go change a bunch of code around. I'm going to do user studies, and people are going to be like, wait, why doesn't this work the way I expected? And I'll be like, oh no, I didn't plan for this. But in general, I don't think that's a big problem because, like I said, this is always additional. If you want to, you can always go back to the old way of doing things, and I could just have this menu be an option that's hidden in the settings somewhere. And it could just say something like enable beginner snippets, and you check that, and now you have this menu. And if you know about it, you can use it, and you might like it better. So we'll say try to pursue closest enemy bot. We don't need an entity field there. I guess that's another pro. This doesn't alter any existing Blockly or Botland scripts. It's purely additional. Hey, Lucky. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with no on this one. Sorry. All right. So this is gonna be a lot of code, right? This is gonna be all of this. Oh, wait a second though. This'll. Ooh, I didn't think about this. This is gonna make a variable, which means we have to make a variable that you can't use. Okay, I'll have to figure out how that's gonna work. Polish, figure out how we'll make variables that don't collide with anything the user did. E.g. for pursue, try to pursue, we need to get the closest enemy bot. And I don't want to call find entity 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Now that said, I do cache the result of that, or at least I better, because otherwise it's going to be a problem. Find closest entity, not that one. Find entity? Find entity. Does this cache stuff? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yeah, I might need to cache this. May need to cache the results of find entity based on argument specified. That way, if you have multiple try to pursue, it doesn't slow everything down. Hey, Nan. Yeah. Can I buy the new Call of Duty? Yes. Yes, I can. Alright, so I'll plug this in here. So pursue won't be it. Oh, whoa, there's escape variable name. Oh my god, thank goodness. How does this even work? Where does this come from? Neat. Apparently there's already an escape variable name function. So we should be able to just use that. Yeah. 7 of honor. Okay, so closest enemy bot. If exists, if can move to pursue. We don't need this. We don't need that. And there we go. So we're gonna just ignore some of these other ones, like chip and CPU. I guess we could do that. Oh, actually, no, we can't. No, we can't replicate, figure it out with just these blocks. Yeah, we can't. We can make it a little bit easier to understand, but the reason we can't is because of this. There's a can zap inside of each of these exists calls. And in this one, there's zap, cloak, and reflect. And that's all based on having an enemy bot. So we have to, at some point, have these 4 blocks here. The pink, purple, and then the first 2 blues. Yeah, so it's not going to be totally possible. I should probably write that down. We can't ever convert all of figure it out because there are conditionals based on the existence of a particular entity, e.g. for zapping, but we can convert most of it. Yeah, so these pursue calls aren't actually important. So let's keep going. Hey Tamio, what channel have you stumbled upon? This is a coding channel. It's definitely not for everybody, so I wouldn't be insulted if you found this boring or you left. But I'm making a game called Botland. So we have, what, 3 more? Shield, Mines, and Repair? Yeah, okay. Let's do those last 3, and then let's check this out. So, Terminator, Shield. Here it is. I'm going to copy paste this. I'm going to make this conditional. I'm going to paste this in. And how does this work? Shield entity. I don't want that. I don't know what I just did. It's just shield self that I want. Rename beginner to simplify. Yeah, I still have to, I guess we'll write that at the very end. Come up with names for everything. Come up with names for everything. Do we want beginner snippets, simplified snippets, simple snippets? Trying your best to continue the LeetCode grind. Just want to play Overwatch. Well, is LeetCode helping you? Is it fun? I mean, why are you doing LeetCode if Overwatch seems more enticing? Why not write a bot for Overwatch that plays the game for you? And that way you open up all of your time for LeetCode. That's cheating though. Yeah, that is cheating. Can't argue with you there. Well, what if there was a game where all you did was write bots? Like a Botland kind of game or something. That's a game where you could probably write bots for that. If only a game like that existed. Oh wait, it does. You can play it right there. Sell out. Okay, so I don't want this. I want the old style of just shield self. Yeah. If only it was free too. Oh wait. Hey, Alpha Dawn. So try to shield self. One of the other things we're gonna have to do is when we go to finish converting these. So other blocks to make. Come on, you can do it. Yep, there we go. Try to pursue. That's this one, and then all of the self/ally variants. So shield self, shield ally, repair self, repair ally. Yes. Alright, Tommy, one last thing about this particular channel is please just consolidate your messages. Will I ever be done coding the game? I think that's really hard to say. I think the will I ever be done can be answered in the case where it's no. Or sorry, where it's yes. So if the game fails, then yes, definitely. So basically, if in the next couple months I can't fix the user retention issues, then yeah, I'll be done because I won't be working on Botland anymore. But will it ever get to a point where I'm like, okay, time to move on to another game, but Botland is still out there and successful? No, I don't think that's possible. Is JS that good? It's everywhere, really, really? I think there are a lot of reasons for how it got to be everywhere. And so I don't think it started off as being all that great. It was a language hacked together in a week, and then it ended up becoming the de facto language of the web. And then because of that, it spread out into more environments, so server environments. And then a lot of work was put into making it fast, parsing quickly, and running quickly. So is it really that good is all an opinion in the end. Like, I think it's good. Hey, Bob. So we're not going to work on those for now. We're just going to stick with the self variants. It's selfish code. So if can shield, then shield. Anything else I need to do here? Try to shield self. Conditional, yep, I think we're fine. We're just lumping all these in the same category too. It's another thing I'm gonna have to do. Other blocks to make. I guess like things to do if we want to keep this idea. Technically everything on this list is a thing to do if I want to keep this idea. No, it's okay, Tommy. I don't expect people to just naturally do it before I tell them about it. But then, yeah, after I tell you, there have been multiple purges in this channel as a result of people not following that. Hey, Paul. So we're going to write blocks to make. And then there are other features I wanted to do. And in this case, it was, oh yeah, make categories, or like split everything into the right categories. Movement, offense, etc. So we got shield, we need landmine and repair. Those are the only two. So a conditional for that. We try to lay mine. And if can lay mine, there. And one last one is repair self, and then we can test this out. You making a new constant.documentation type? Yeah, that'll need to be done too. Add documentation for everything. We probably want a completely different category. We'll also probably want to make excessive use of aliases here so that we just have one blurb at the top and then links to the underlying function. Also, we have to make it clear that there's no corresponding code for this, or there's no corresponding API, corresponding single APIs for these, unless we go that route. So repair self, we're gonna convert this one, and it won't take very long. I think this one's called will repair. Yeah, a little bit weird. There. Let me just plop this into here. And that's everything. Let's refresh. So now we can go through and try to convert one of the APIs I already had and see if this looks good. So here's the whole script. We're gonna go make this thing out of just beginner snippets. So let's start. Try to melee. Try two lasers. So far, pretty easy. Missiles, artillery. Then we have a bunch of stuff that's not exactly doable. So we need to copy this and copy this. And then we can convert the individual ones in here. So we have zap, cloak, reflect. So delete, delete, delete. And then we could technically put a try to pursue here. It's a little bit weird. I don't know exactly, maybe rework some of our code or even add some custom pages for this to work. Yeah, I'll write that down. Okay, so already, if we look at this, if we put these kind of on the same level as one another, and granted I don't have comments, so I guess it's technically not totally fair, but all of this code represents down to this comment. So we've cut out quite a lot of blocks already. Let's keep going. So now this has no equivalent. So we just had to put that in. Try to zap does, so we can put that here. This also has no equivalent right now. And then shield, lay mine, repair. Shield, lay mine, repair. And then all of the movement code. All right. So, old figure it out, new figure it out. Let's just take a quick pick. Yeah, so you can see the difference in length of these scripts, and I have a feeling that it's going to be much easier for players to read through these things. Now, as for the code, if I put one right after the other, we should generate almost exactly the same code. It's not going to be exactly the same. Okay, I clearly forgot some parentheses here too. So, not everything works. Hey, sick. Where is it? Yeah, here. I forgot a parenthesis. I forgot a parenthesis on lasers as well. Yeah. Yeah, it's just, some minor mistakes. If we fix those, does this work? Is it successful now? Yeah, so I think I only had a couple mistakes. Now let's copy paste the whole thing and see if it generated roughly the same code. Why is this not? Oh, no active text editor. I thought it would be on the left. So this was step 1, and then this is step 2. Like I said, it should be pretty much the same. Will melee hit melee? Yep, looks the same. Will lasers hit fire lasers? Will missiles hit fire missiles? Artillery hit? Yep. And close when you bot, can zap zap, cloak, reflect. Then this part gets a little bit different because we redefine the variable. I need to not have that happen eventually. This stuff is the same. This stuff is the same. Good, 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 good. This is different. There's no life is less than 75%, but that's okay. Going home now, AFK. AFW. We'll take care, Superman. So polish, should we have Should we modify figure it out expanded to have the try functions in it now? Let's just get a rough percentage of what this did. So it's all of this that got cut out minus like 3 comments. So let's only search to there. So it's like 200 pixels out of 500. So it's like 40%. Cuts the height down by say like 30 to 40%. The reason I'm saying 30 is because there are other things that we haven't done exactly the same that we'll probably want to do. Hey, Chris. And getting them to work like that is actually not too difficult. So, for example, let's say we look at just this block right here. To get this same thing to work, we could do this. We could just say if life percent is less than that amount, then where'd that paste? Then try to repair self. So it's a little bit simpler. Can we have a gradient for a color, for a block color? Transition from if to terminator. Maybe make it more explicit. That's interesting. I wonder if that would look very weird. If I want the expanded version, I expect the minimal level possible, not with snippets. When you say minimal, you mean like you want it to be the shortest height, or you want it to be the lowest level, as in closest to the code? And then Antho, do you want, are you saying like what libraries or frameworks should I use? Because just depending on what language you have, there's probably some sort of graphing thing. The lowest level, so no snippets, aka the way it is now. Okay, I see. Well, then there's another question we could do, which is if we don't want to modify it, we could have the same general thing, but as figured out with simple snippets. For some people. Yeah, we could just have both of them. There's no issue with that. So polish, look into block gradients. We could probably do that. It's not only a question of whether we can do it, it's also a question of whether it looks good. All right, so let's say we were just trying to write a script here. Just delete all these blocks. Using these beginner snippets, if I'm like, okay, well, my general strategy is I want to try all the weaponry stuff. And then if that doesn't work, let's just move forward. So here's my script now. It tries all the weapons and then moves forward. Let's go check this out. Oh, right. I got to refresh because I hadn't... I had some bugs in my underlying code. Whoops. Something with WebGL. Yeah, I would look up like... Here's how I do this. I'd look up something like WebGL charting library. And you'll probably find something in Three.js that you can use maybe. Like Three.js charting charts. 3 graphs. Yeah, 3D charts for the web. You could probably find some stuff. And then, yeah, see if it meets your needs. See if you like it. See if you would have fun with it. If it's going to involve any changes from your end. All right, so let's do that again. We're going to do melee, lasers, missiles, artillery, and then move. And we're going to say move forward. So that's as simple as a script can be now. And wait, before I do this, I gotta clear all my bots and put a few of these down. There we go. Then I'll put a few of my own bots over here. So my bots will just try moving forward and then shooting their weapons. I mean, pretty simple script, but I made that very quickly. Now, granted, I made it very quickly because the menus are set up to allow me to make it that fast. It wouldn't actually be any faster really than if I had done it all with snippets, because eventually we will have these same categories. So I could have just still taken it like this. Melee, lasers, missiles, artillery. It just looks a little bit nicer. The other thing is we probably need to add the comments in too. Yeah, and then try to move forward. I think I like it. I'm adding these for entities as well. Yeah, I think I should. I think that'll be pretty nice. Entity related blocks, e.g. if will melee hit some variable you made, then melee some variable you made. Hey, Snake. I don't see a reason not to do this. Keep the comments for some non-obvious blocks, like artillery maybe. The comments mention sensors and attack range. Is there a compelling reason not to do this? Because if we delete the comments here, I mean, you can see that the size saved. Crazy. The other thing actually we could try out, let's do this. I think this will work because I think we should be able to undo this. So we can compare the underlying XML for all of this. Copy. So here's the version with if statements. And if I can, yeah, okay, good. That did work. I can hit Control Z. Perfect. And then here's the version without if statements. So the XML was cut down to from 1642 to 652. No, 654. I'll write this down here. And what script is this? So just five snippets converted to conditional terminators. Cuts the XML length from 1642 to 654. It's like 1/3 the size. Try to melee V with options, any direction, list of user-defined variables. Yeah, that I think might be a little bit confusing. That's actually something I had never really thought of though, which is that, yeah, what if we put in all the user variables here too? I don't think Blockly has a way of doing that out of the box. The other thing that might be weird is what if you named a variable left or right or up or down, and then those things showed up twice in this list? But I do think that'd be nice. It would be nice to have directions and variables in the same menus for some blocks, like melee. Yeah, Alucard, ain't tested. And Leander. Maybe a separator, yeah. E.g. melee, right or down or up or left or closest bot or ally bot. Wait, no, would that work? Yeah, not really. No, it need to have an exist if I do that. Yeah, it need to have an exist. So here's what might not be clear about that is, let's say we had try to melee, and then one of the things you could pick was like closest enemy bot. You have to check if this exists. If you don't check the existence, then it may return true because it'll just find something for you and then it won't do what you want. So I don't think we can consolidate those. Well, either way, users are going to be confused, right? Because either I have try to melee in direction. Maybe the whole point of this is to keep it simple. No, I got to think about that. That's actually a pretty tough problem. Why not check existence in the try to melee enemy? Yeah, I guess at that point, I'm assuming what you want to do, and I'm trying to do it for you. Which is probably a reasonable assumption. Alternatively, maybe this is a chance to correct the semantics of something. Maybe confusing for users to have to check the existence of entities. So maybe we can no, but I can't tell if you intended to do this or not, right? Ugh. How something like melee potential entity would work. So part of the problem is that I can't know whether you intended to store a direction or an entity. If it's a direction, you may intentionally have set it to null. And then I will change the semantics of your code. If it's an entity and it's null or undefined, then you probably don't want it to attack anything. Instead of finding a fallback. Yeah, I think it would be okay, Ember, if I could detect that that's what they're trying to do. But I guess what I'm getting at is, like, let's say you have this code. Let's say you have function attack in direction. And it takes in a direction, it says something like, if will melee hit, then melee in that direction. Okay, so here's some code. And when you call attack in direction right, attack in direction left, it works just like how you think. But then what happens if you pass in null or undefined? Well, when you pass in null or undefined, it's as though you're not passing in directions at all. And so it's just checking to see, will it work in any direction? Now, that is currently how the APIs work. So it's possible that someone is relying on that behavior when they call into these things. So this is new code, so no one can be relying on it yet. But it might be weird to have the underlying APIs work differently from the wrapping APIs. The existence. They specify an argument. How does this even work from a code perspective? Yeah, so should we do this? How would we even do this? And then if we do it, do we check for the existence of the underlying argument? Yeah, it only happens if they don't check for exist beforehand, which they almost certainly wouldn't be, because right now what I did is the directional ones here. But if I had taken the entity-based one, then they would have had to have found that entity at some point. No, you know what? If the point of this is to be simple, maybe we don't worry about those kinds of cases. Maybe that's where you jump into just regular snippets. In fact, even regular snippets don't have this, do they? Yeah, the only snippet we have right now is for direction. Beyond that, you have to go into advanced and type it out yourself. Like an if, and then you'd have to eventually call into this melee one with closest enemy bot or something. The other thing is that this could be done in multiple stages. So if we ever decide we want to do that, we could just revamp all of Blockly for that. Yeah, I think what we should try to aim for first is just replicating the core functionality of the game. Moving, attacking, shielding, reflecting. Yeah, maybe that's a good first version. What if... I have another idea here. So I have a lot of questions I have to answer. Yeah, so pick a color for these bodies. This goes into polish. I don't care about this right now. So see if this feels right. I mean, I think so. Yeah, so I have a bunch of questions. We have to get the design now. So how do we want to expose this to users? Okay, so option number one could be have an explicit beginner snippets or simple snippets menu that has all of these options. Option number two is for any snippet in the snippets menu, show both the simple version and the non-simple version. This could be confusing for snippets that have multiple blocks for you to drag. Option number three is have a user setting somewhere that will show this menu. Option number four, so this would be alongside the existing menu, meaning there would just be one extra category. How else could we expose this to users? I mean that's pretty much it, right? It's got to come from the toolbox at some point. It can't come from anywhere else. So that we either have a menu alongside the current one, we have all of the individual snippets just in the same block over here, which the reason I don't like that is because for something like this, there are already multiple blocks here. So if some of these had the if statement version and the non-if statement version, it might be clear for like, okay, well, this is the expanded form if I want to customize something, and this is, I don't know. The other thing we could do, option number four, is just replace the, yeah, I guess we should say is you have a user set, that's what this would be. Have a user setting somewhere that would either show the regular snippets or the simplified snippets based on their preference. That's pretty much all I can think of. Yeah. I don't know if there's any other way. I'm not saying one of these ways is the best or one. I don't know. I don't know what I would want to do here, although I think option number two is bad. But I don't know if there's another way to even have these show up and be usable by people. Yeah. You don't like number three? I think number three has some interesting properties to it, which is that new users to the game wouldn't even know that this other menu exists. Here's what I could totally see happening based on how I've seen people play the game so far. is people go into beginner snippets and be like, oh, what I want isn't really here. And then they'll go into snippets and they might not realize, wait a second, snippets is pretty much exactly the same as beginner snippets, but the blocks just all have if statements. And that's not going to help most users, especially if I get parity between these. You like number 2, show the small versions next to the large versions? I can show what that'll look like. We can just modify a couple of these. Take fire lasers and fire missiles, for example. So that's 4 snippets. Fire lasers. Yep, here. So we just copy in these. So fire lasers goes like that. And fire missiles goes like that. That might work. I'm not actually positive. I might need to make them categories. I don't think I do though. Yeah. So that's what this would look like. So you can take the if statement version if you want, or you can take the non-if statement version. Probably put the non-if statement version first. But I do think this would be confusing to players. I think they might be like, wait a second, I want to hit the closest enemy and not just try to fire my missiles. But they're the same thing. So I'd need to make it clear somewhere that they're the same thing. I think it would confuse people. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I like this after trying it out. I think it's also confusing because people wouldn't know that the snippets represent the exact same underlying blocks. So they may not get something to work right. Then they may try its equivalent and still not have it work right. And I don't want to comment in every single section saying that the blocks are the same. Yeah. Okay, so the question is basically at this point, do we have beginner snippets and regular snippets? So what we have right here, or do we have an option that lets you show one or the other? We could combine these, sort of. Maybe it's best to only show beginner snippets during the first X campaign missions and have both categories visible in regular matches. It's both or nothing. I don't like the option for this specific case. Doesn't the name reflect? Yeah. Having only one section during the campaign or tutorial, I think that's a special case. But I think as long as the names are clear, where are the names? Can I write this down somewhere? Come up with names for everything. I don't think an option would be a good idea. Both would be a good idea. Okay, so then, yeah. Let's write that down. So conclusion, we'll go with option number 1, except in the special case of the tutorial / campaign, where we'll probably only show the beginner versions. All right, so that question has been answered. And then since that's been answered, we want to make it clear to users that the snippets menus are going to have parity between each other. Assuming that's even true. That way they either choose simple snippets. Simple wouldn't work, I guess. That'd be something like, I don't know, the single line or multi-line versions. Maybe something like simple snippets and fully customizable snippets. customizable. All right, well, that question's been answered. There are other questions that I had too. So cancel this. As the other question is like, do we move forward with this? That was the question we had up here. And I think the pros outweigh the cons. So yes. I mean, I should explicitly write this. I think yes. I don't know if what you guys have seen, you're leaning toward yes as well. And actually, because these are so small, I wonder if we even need as many categories. Like, we could just have weaponry open up all of... Yeah, that would actually be a really good idea. In fact, I kind of wonder if we should do that even over here. What if we didn't have... Let me delete that stuff. What if we didn't have... Let's just delete that. What if instead of having the categories, we just had weaponry? One, two, three, four, five, six. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't know if I counted that right, but yeah, this is the biggest category right now, support. And this is without even adding more hardware. So with simple snippets, I think it would be fine to have 9 things in the list because look at how short they all are. But in here, consolidating all 9 of those things. Whoops, I stopped showing the right ones. Yeah, it would I think be too much. Okay, so then categories. I think it's worth saying that. What do the categories look like? I think it's probably best to just have the top level categories since they're all a single line. Since the snippets are all a single line. Yeah, Extron. So we can just have weaponry, support, and whatever the last one is, movement. And just throw all blocks into there. Bump everything to snippets at the top level. You mean like it is right now? Because there are going to be more blocks here. I don't think that's a good idea. I think we'll still have enough different ones where you will want categories here. But what I was thinking of doing is this. I could actually just show you, I guess, rather than even talk about it. So we had weaponry up here. And I'll just roughly categorize these, I guess. So all of these and this. I'm not going to put them in the right order or anything. This is movement. Do we have any other movement stuff? Pursue, I guess. And then we have support. There. So it looks something like this. So instead of just having beginner snippets, we have the 3 categories, but each thing under here just lets you drag whatever you need. I think I like that way. I think it's pretty good. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. What other questions are there? How do you close snippet menu when moving one block to the playground? That is something that I had it the old way before, where you have this open and you could drag as many things as you want from it. But there are a couple reasons why I stopped. One is it takes up more screen space during that time. So on something like mobile, it's kind of annoying, where you've got this open and then you only have this tiny portion of the screen to drag to. And 2 is because you rarely want multiple blocks from the same section. When you're laying out the very foundation of your script, sure, you might put something like missiles and then artillery and then lasers. But then after that, you're probably just going into these menus for like, okay, I just want one if block. And now I want a math block. And now I want a variable. And so keeping those menus open is a little bit more work to have to close them all the time. Figure it out, find entity, movement, weaponry, support, pre-made scripts, snippets, advanced. Pre-made scripts, no snippets. Yeah, but what you're saying then is that you, at some point in weaponry, you're going to need to make a distinction between the simple snippets and the regular snippets. I don't want them in the same. I don't want them in the same like lowest level category like I was showing earlier. I think that is too confusing. I should have taken a picture of that. Let's go do that really fast. Can I not? I don't. Yeah, I don't have this saved anymore. I do want to get a screenshot though, so let's go put this back in. So put it into here. Maybe that's another pro, is because the blocks themselves are shorter, we can lump more into one category, which means we can have less nesting of categories. I think there are a lot of pros here. This. I want to take a picture of this. All right, now I get the screenshot location. See this picture. Lots of pros here. Anything else? I don't know if there's really anything else I wanna ask about this. I felt like there were questions as I was going through. Maybe we just look through here. So blocks to make, still a bunch of blocks to make sure. Split everything into right categories. Yep. Add documentation for everything. Yep. Apply the same thing to, oh yeah, so that's a good question. Do we want this for Botland script as well? Do we want corresponding APIs for Botland script as well? E.g. try to move right. So my gut response here is I don't see why not. As a PO, what does that mean? It doesn't have to be part of V1 for this though. Product owner, oh I see. My other gut response is that it doesn't have to happen right away. There's no reason to link the Blockly and Botland script versions of this. It should be done based on metrics of the success of this feature. I am not sure how we'll determine that though. The only thing I can think, well, there are a couple ways I could think about this. One is A/B testing just this feature. And two is that I prepare this feature for long enough and then let it sit for long enough that I would know that higher retention is due to this feature. If bad or no improvement, it's not worth it. Well, okay, I guess the other thing to consider is that I have stats which are maybe alarming for some people. Let me show you guys this. I gotta find my notes just really fast. Okay, so check this out. Select count from scripts where Blockly XML is null, and then select count from scripts. So 1,329 out of 37,121 are JavaScript, or well, Botland script. So 1,329 divided by that is roughly 4%. So I don't think it's probably worth worrying about this at all. So yeah, I think this almost definitely answers, wasn't it 23% yesterday? I haven't run this query in a while. Yeah, I haven't run this in a while. Group by user ID. 558 people. What was 23%? 23% was mobile versus desktop. Yeah. Yeah, mobile versus desktop was that number. It was 23%. The scripting being JavaScript or Blockly, it's overwhelmingly Blockly. So yeah, I think that's the answer to this question. So conclusion here, only 4% of the total scripts are JavaScript anyway, Botland scripting. XO, hey, welcome back. Thanks for the 23 months. Yeah, not worth considering. It was not worth considering at all. Am I the only one working on it? No. And does the game bring in any income? Not really. It's intended to, but if I were to check, actually we could find out. Select count from payments. Is it payments? No, it's purchases common or something. Yeah, so there have been 53 purchases made in the game. And in the last month, I think there have been 6. Okay. So yeah, not very many purchases. The average purchase price is probably like, just gonna make a number like $6. It's probably higher than that actually. So in the last month, I probably made about $50. Hey, Fee. Yeah. We're gonna try to improve that after we've worked on the player base issues. I wonder if there are any parts of Botland you'd want to rewrite or refactor, clean up. How do I deal with that? I think it's the same as dealing with anything else. Refactoring, new features, like localization, anything you put on this list all goes into a big priority machine. And the priority machine is what you have time for, what you have money for, what users want the most, what is the most breaking bug. So refactoring is always going to be a part of that to some extent. Even if you've got what you think is a great code base, there's something you can probably be doing better. And just generally, as long as it's not the highest priority thing, then you're fine. If you feel like it is the highest priority thing and that's consistent, then I'd say there's probably issues with code design as you're going through it. So yeah, EXO, I think there are some things I definitely want to change. But at this point, it's like they're just not the most pressing things. Let's say we came to the conclusion that we need to spend, I don't know what, like $200,000 on new graphics. Well, a lot of code's going to need to change to support that. And then all of a sudden, refactoring is going to become the most important thing. And then, yeah, I'd probably be like, well, that sucks. But then I'd have 5 years of momentum to want to fix it. These blocks are dumb, Wouter. They're not like Lego where they got a bunch of prongs and they fit nicely. They're virtual. They have virtual prongs. They don't necessarily fit nicely. Look at this. There's some space in between the two of those. Actually, I'm not sure if that touches on what you wanted exactly there, but yeah. I've had that happen with projects where here's what I think has led to that the most is I have an idea. I have no design, no like product or code design, either one. And I just start coding. And I quickly exit the, wow, this idea is super cool phase. And once that happens, then that's why I start getting bitten by the, well, I had no design before this. So I was just coding stuff. That's actually how Botland had started. The very first version, the one where the scripting system had looked like this, I didn't have an idea really other than, hey, I want to make a game where you can program. And I thought, well, I like StarCraft. Why don't I make it sort of like StarCraft? So there were workers and you could carry minerals and trees and stuff. And then there was a scripting system here. And that's about it. I didn't have any ideas past that. So once I coded this, I'm like, well, this is a pile of garbage. And then I started a brand new version. And I thought, I'll design this one. I've learned a lot over the years. I've learned that my initial stabs at design should have been more fleshed out and more prototyped. You want to play that game? The thing is, I've never made this game available to people but I have shown it on this stream before. Let me see if I can find this really fast. Yeah, I mean, it still runs, but there's nothing to really play. You could actually manually control your bots by like clicking and doing stuff. And then there was the script editor, like I said, so you could say like move down, move right. And that's about it. I mean, these minerals and trees generated themselves. And you could assign scripts to different bots here. But that's the game. What you see there, there's no objective, there's no enemies. These things are all just fake bars that I put here. So there's nothing to really play. Hey Hayes. I think they're writing unit tests for engineering bitten when it comes time to actually design. Unit tests won't do anything for product design though. I guess that's part of what I'm talking about. Like there's product design and there's code design, and the unit test will help you with your code design a little bit. But if your product was like write a game that's got guns and the guns are actually shooting other guns and those guns shoot bullets, it's like, okay, that's a mechanic idea, sure. Now what's your actual game? Is there a story? Is there something else? And so you start writing code and all your code is working flawlessly. And then it turns out, wait a second, I have no direction anymore. And I think that both of those combine to form a product that needs a lot of refactoring. Because it's not that you refactor code because the code is bad. You might also be refactoring the code because it doesn't accomplish a goal for your product anymore. Which I always hate doing. I would hate it when there's like pristine code, you're really happy about it, it worked perfectly, but now there's just no longer a requirement for it. And so you have to delete it. You can't keep around code that's not doing anything for you. All right, can we close out of all of these things? Yeah, you're a pair of biceps in a world of guns. Goes at the other gun and say, look at those guns. We'll make a game based on this. All right, so conclusion to this is no. Are there any other questions I had here? I think we should still have a future ideas section. Yeah. The conclusion at the time of writing this was that the user base for Botland scripts was too low, 4%, to even consider. But I want to keep this in the future ideas section, and let's just move this to the bottom of the list. I guess let's just look through all of Polish. What do we have here? Yeah, here. So pick a color. That's not something we have a huge question about. Maybe confusing for users to have to check the existence of entities. So we have to consider how something like that would work. Well, we don't really. So the current snippets don't have functions for this at all. So we probably don't really have to consider this. Isn't product design just another way of looking at requirements gathering from the code design perspective? No, I don't think about it that way at all. I think of it as like product design. Hey, we noticed that users in China are having a problem because we wrote this with only ASCII characters in mind or something like that. Turns out, I don't know, accountants who use our feature want a sum all button or something like that. Like that doesn't come from the code at all. That's like entirely users based. Now, the first one I argued, or the first one I said, the ASCII thing, you might say, well, that's partially implementation. You shouldn't have done it that way to begin with. Nah, that's a bad example. But the second one is like, yeah, you found out from your users that you want a different feature. So that's where product design changes as a result of something that's not at all related to the code. We could just not do this. One other question I guess I have is what do we do with these advanced functions? Because right now they're in snippets and there's no way to consolidate these. I thought of another idea. What if we had in the snippets menu, we had the simplified versions and then we had the full versions. And then there was advanced. So basically, right now we have this beginner snippets with weaponry, movement, and support, and then snippets with those same categories, but also advanced. My proposed change is what if we did this? can't get this to where I want it to be. So we just had snippets, simple, full. And advance. Yeah, so in order to get to any snippets, you'd have to go through one more click. So snippets and then simple and then movement and then your things that you have. But I guess the question is, where does advanced go? Advanced categories, since there's no simple equivalent for them. Like an if function, random percent chance. These are things that we can just put them in both categories, actually. Yeah, we can just put them in both categories. Put them in both categories. So we have something like this. Option number 2. Split the snippets category into simple and full and put advanced alongside those. That's here. Option number 3, just keep it in snippets and don't have it in beginner snippets at all. So it would look like this. Okay. Is there any other option we can do here? And option number 4 is, I guess, just move it elsewhere entirely. Do you think everything in that advanced menu can find a new home? You think we just put it into this advanced function? Random percent chance. And I could go into math. We have random chance there, right? Wait, we don't? Wait, what? Does this block not exist anywhere else? Random chance? Where's that block come from? It's not in math. Oh, random. It's an if and then random. Okay, yeah, that could move. An if function, I don't know where that would go exactly. Maybe into functions. I'm not sure if we can modify that menu. We might be able to, though. Random percent chance can go somewhere else. Compare numbers could go somewhere else. I guess I would go in if, I guess. Advanced math might be unnecessary. Oh, you're saying advanced math might be unnecessary. I think this one's necessary. I don't know where this would go though. Variables. Debug log. Oh, you know what else we could do? Somewhere else we're entirely, e.g. put the random functions into math. And then option number 5 is have another top level category. So we end up with something like this. Beginner snippets, intermediate snippets, and advanced snippets. Something like that. I don't like that idea right off the top of my head, but because it doesn't make it clear that beginner and intermediate are sort of one and the same, which actually brings me back to this one. I think I like option number 2 the best. They're all snippets. They're all snippets. Yeah, I think I like that one the best. And right now, in order to get to something, you already had to click once, then twice, then 3 times before you could drag. In this future one, you'll have to do that same number of clicks. You have to click snippets, then beginner, and then 3 times, and then you can drag. Yeah. And the reason why is because we don't have another category underneath that. That's my take on this. I don't know if anyone else has any other input here. This sure is something. Oh man. And there's a lot of work to do for these things too. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Should we modify figured out expanded? I never actually figured out what I wanted to do there. Pre-made scripts, figured out expanded. I think I'd want two versions of this. I don't know where we would put it. If we do want to modify it, then I need to figure out where to put it. Maybe it's figured out simplified right next to the expanded version. All right, what other questions do we have? Figure out how to make variables don't collide with anything user data. We already have an answer for that. It'd be nice to have directions and variables in the same blocks. I don't know if this is going to be possible. With the exist check. Hey, Blu-ray King. It's going pretty well. Today we have worked on this menu right here, beginner snippets. So previously in Botland, let me just delete all these blocks. Previously in Botland, you would do something like this. You'd say like, okay, I want to fire missiles, I want to fire artillery, I want to move randomly. And let's just delete these comments so it's easy to tell what's going on. So there, that's it. This is what everyone's used to seeing. Now we have these beginner snippets, and we can do this exact same code like this. There. So exact same code on the left as on the right, but now there are no if statements. And then anything which had a parameter in the if statement is lumped into just one drop down instead of two. So fewer clicks to get all this stuff done. You like 4, then 3, then 2, then 1, then 5. Okay. Yeah, the problem moving it all elsewhere is I don't know where some of these things would go. We have snippets advanced. Where would something like this go, I guess? Maybe pre-made script. Both options are going to be available, Blueberry King. I'm not positive how we're going to surface that in the campaign. I think we're only going to give you the beginner stuff in the campaign, but then after the campaign, yeah, you'll just have both of these options here. And then we might not call it beginner snippets. We might call it like simplified snippets or something. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if people are even finding these to begin with, though. Dlog would, I guess, go into text. Everything else makes sense. Just where do I put this? What's the difference between snippets advance, attack a specific enemy? The thing with attack a specific enemy that it does for you is it makes a function that has all of these parameterized for you to begin with. So it's got things like missiles, lasers, artillery. In order for you to make these yourself, you pretty much have to go into an if statement, and then you have to go into the correct thing for, okay, will artillery hit item? And then you have to go into the right terminator for that same thing. And that is a little bit annoying to do. So it's got all that configured for you. And the campaign explicitly tells you to use this right now. Looks like a non-beginner attack snippet to me. So your proposed solution would be number 3 then, Hideo? Which is just have advanced be under snippets and nowhere else. Maybe what we call it is just one-line snippets. Maybe they're always one line. I still have to think of the name for that, because that locks us into them always being one line at that point. Maybe one-line snippets, or single line, and multi-line snippets. Your spaghetti's ready. All right. Enjoy. What would be a good player average count? What I'm looking for is a weekly user count of 500 plus. I think that's what would be healthy for the players. Would that be good for me for monetization? I have no idea. But that's my first goal, is to get to that number. Hey, Ratchet. UI looks like a lot like that Google UI programming language. It is that language. I guess so. Rearrange what you can and keep the others in non-beginner, as they're obviously not beginner friendly. Okay, so you're saying that you would go with options 4 and 3 at the same time. All right, I'm happy with that. IO stream. Oops, I accidentally banned you. I meant to just purge your messages. Actually, I'll just keep you banned. That's fine. All right, can the players save frequently used scripts they make, especially when campaigns become more advanced? The campaign has its own special system where you can't save scripts in between it because the scripts that it's asking you to make right now are not very complex, and they also have no use outside of the campaign, really. But can they save scripts that they make? Yeah, if you're just talking about like in their account, like if I go to attack right now, I need to log into a different account. Okay, gotcha, Hideo. Yeah, I think that's a reasonable solution. And I think that's pretty much what Playing with Scissors wanted too, options 4 and 3. So yeah, your scripts stick around. I wrote this on December 9th, 2019. I don't know why this script is here, but yeah, you got a whole list of them you can make. All right, so let's put this under design. It's like I prepared for this question. So what do we want to do about the advanced snippets right now? And I'll just paste in all these options. Might as well have them. Since there won't be a simple equivalent for them. So conclusion, do number 4 where possible. Otherwise, stick to number 3 where not possible. Okay. Hey, Red Fox. All my friends before I go and play my game for half an hour. All right. Take care. Enjoy your game. All right. Any other questions that I have for this? Cache result, define entity, directions and variables. Draw codes exactly the same. Wrap the imports. Come up with names for everything. Yeah, I guess that's the final thing. Is just what do we name this? What do we name these categories? So what were the ideas that I had? Color theory is way more complex than you ever imagined. Yeah, I think what they said is don't ever make a gradient between 2 colors where you will end up with gray in the middle. And so red to blue is not, I guess you could go through like pink and then purple or something like that. But if you just did a straight up gradient, it wouldn't look good. Anyway, I don't know. But that's the only thing I ever heard is don't do that. But we could change our colors for all of Blockly and then just re-record a trailer. I don't know. Oh man, I really don't want to have to re-record that trailer. The other thing is that I've been trying to advertise that trailer a lot. So its view count is finally pretty good. Makes it seem like this game is worth playing. Look at that. 24,000 views. That's probably the most of any of the videos I've made, right? I think the second most was that video. What's that up to? This is like, yeah, 13,000. Yeah. I'm a big YouTuber. I have 20,000 views. Take that, PewDiePie. Okay, so option number 1 is a simple versus customizable. Option number 2 is single line versus multi-line. Option number 3 is beginner snippets versus snippets. I mean, here there's pretty much infinite options. It's the English language that's limiting us, nothing else. So how do we make it clear what these things represent? So right now, beginner snippets, they're all one line. So single line and multi-line, I guess would be fine. But then what happens if I ever want to make them more than one line? I guess the point is that they never would be. I actually kind of like that. What if we just always made sure that there's single line in this thing? Why not basic versus advanced? Yeah, that's another option too we could do. Basic versus advanced. So far I'm leaning toward option number 2, or at least specifically having single line versus something. I don't know if it has to be multi-line. And then we ensure that the snippets only ever have one line in them. Anyway, you know, Leander, I think a lot of people on YouTube try to just drum up controversy sometimes. I shouldn't say a lot, but some people on YouTube do this. And so some people will like call out PewDiePie or try to get him to respond to things because if he covers their video, then now this previously unknown YouTuber might like rocket into fame. But I'm not all about drama. It's totally unrelated to BL. I'm writing an app that implements some basic Photoshop color feature, and I decided to add some fun. Oh yeah. So this is the same thing for, if you look up like Philips Hue, there's like a color spectrum, and it's absurd if you look at it. How does this? Is it this one? What is this? So I think this tries to model what your eyes can see or something like that. Anyway, it's crazy. It's like absolutely crazy. And what I was thinking as a programmer was like, oh, it's RGB or it's whatever, the HSVA, or I don't remember what it's called. It's not that. Yeah, good thing you need basic things, even that's madness, yeah. Yeah, alright. So all I have left is the name on this thing. I just want to figure this out. I think single line and multi-line sounds technical for some reason. It's not really technical, right? Let's just see what it looks like. Single line snippets. Multi-line snippets. And I want to steer players toward the single line ones. Oh, and longin is a different player. Single line snippets, multi-line snippets. I said also lowercase this. Yeah, that stuff is really challenging, Hideo. I imagine that whenever Photoshop started, it probably just had things like, you can draw pixels, and you can select pixels. And they probably didn't have to worry about almost any of that stuff at first. Single line and multi-line. So are all of these multi-line? I think they are. In fact, some of them are multiple. Oh yeah, how do we do teleport with this? How would we do teleport? Oh, we already have try teleport here. Wow. Wow, this is going to be great to consolidate. Yeah, this is going to be great. Yeah, okay. That's something we got to write on the list. Once we've done this. Change old blocks. So the old teleport snippet should have the math built in, or it just shouldn't even exist. I don't know. Yeah, okay. So the only part where we're going to violate this single line part of this is that there are some where I might still have comments. So for example, this is one of them where we might have these comments on it. So it's still a single line of code. Artillery has a minimum range of 5 and has a maximum range of 7, which you can only achieve by activating your sensors. And we need the help blocks to go to the right spots. Okay. Well, there's a lot of work. I don't actually think I'm going to be doing this on stream right now. I think I wanted to get through the design and just figure out if it was even worth doing. And I think we have questions for all that stuff. So I might end the stream now. In fact, I probably will do that. And I think Friday will be like grind day for this. We'll just go through as many of these things. It'll be a laid back stream because there's not too much to think about really. Yeah, the appointment I have is at 1. So I've got a couple of hours. Part of what I want to do before that is revive my car. I had that whole towing incident that happened. And then I just pretty much didn't drive my car for a while and the battery died. And I borrowed a, I don't know what you call it, like a jump start kit or something. It's not just cables, it's a battery as well. So I gotta use that. But then I think you're supposed to drive your car after that, right? Mail the people you want to mail. Yeah, that's the one thing on my list. I gotta do that. I have that written down on my list. Okay, yeah. So sorry to cut this out a little bit early, but I think I got done with the majority of what I wanted to get done with today, which was to test this stuff out. And in the end, I think this is just way cooler. Like, you can make a really simple script now that maybe just looks like this. Try to reflect and figure it out for me. That's it. That could be your whole script. And I think that's pretty nice to have that level of power. All right. Let us go host someone. Oh, hey, Endurance streaming. We're hosting Endurance. No questions asked. Hopefully he's still going to stream. He's playing The Witness. He's been a mod here for forever. So I have to host him. All right, thank you guys for watching. I'll be back on Friday. If you want to join on Discord, if I have any news, I'll share it there. I don't think anything's going to change, though. Probably just stream on Friday. Sorry for the shorter stream, guys. Say hi to Endurance for me. Bye, everybody.